Hey y'all, and welcome back to our channel. If you are new here, my name is Emily and make recovery videos for severe anxiety, agoraphobia, panic disorder, DPDR, and more. So what I'm going to start doing is a little different. And basically, I've got a Facebook group that is linked in the description to this video. It's called Panic to Peace Community. And it's a private group where you can go and you can ask questions. I can answer them. Lots of other resources on there. But every Monday I post a thread and it's a Q&A where people can ask questions and then I go and typically type out the answers. But starting now, I'm going to actually make a Q&A video each week because I think that's going to be way more time effective and just kind of more interactive in general. So if you're not already a member of the group, definitely join. I'm going to kind of knock out maybe 2, 3 videos to get me up to date again on these question threads. And then starting next Monday, it's going to be a video probably every Tuesday. So definitely subscribe and stay tuned. So let me go ahead and hop onto my latest question thread here, and we will just go from there. Let's see. So, all right. First question is from Kristen. How do others manage just simply grocery planning, meal making, and eating for your family? My GI tract has been a little rough lately, and there's a total of 5 meals that I can make that seem to work. It's a major stressor for me just thinking about feeding everyone. I have lost 40 pounds since this started 7 months ago, and I really don't want to lose more. So, what I would say, because this is extremely a common thing, is first off, so let's see here. Managing the grocery planning, meal making, eating. I would say that portion in general is simply using Ideal, which is in my recovery guide, my free recovery guide. So if you're not already familiar with that, definitely use that. It's an acronym that kind of allows you to essentially not quote unquote freak out, not add fear, not add stress to your symptoms, to your thoughts, whatever it is that's popping up, and allows your body to learn that it's safe and that your fight or flight response is overactive, right? So anyway, Ideal is key there. Second thing I would suggest is definitely making a schedule and scheduling this into your day because recovery is not going to work, at least not quickly for you if you are simply responding and making these meals, etc., when you feel good, quote unquote, or better. Uh, just it's not going to work that way. Recovery is going to look like kind of scheduling out maybe at 5 p.m. every single day. I'm going to make this meal for my family, regardless of how I feel, regardless of if I'm having panic or derealization or whatever's going on, chronic symptoms. And I'm going to use Ideal to respond to show my body that I'm safe. And over time and consistency, your body will get the memo, right? And eventually meal making will be more natural and easy again. So I would say ask yourself, what did I normally do prior to the anxiety cycle? What did my normal evening look like? And start making steps to schedule your life towards that. So, like, if normal for you was maybe you go out to eat once a week and then you order a pizza and then you cook meals every other night, cool. That's going to be the normal that we are striving towards. And we're going to take baby steps or big steps or wherever you're at to get to that point. But definitely keep in mind the only way out of the anxiety recovery is through. Do not wait until you're feeling good enough, quote unquote, or you're feeling motivated. Typically those just don't happen when you're in the anxiety cycle. So work off that schedule. The second part of that question, though, about having a total of 5 meals that you can make that seem to work. So this is like part 2 of this whole situation. And that is when people get sucked into really making a lot of accommodations for their anxiety. So you've got to look at your life and ask yourself, prior to the anxiety cycle, was I able to eat dairy and gluten and whatever it is that you have cut out of your diet? Because I know personally, I went through a lot of crash diets when I was cutting out gluten and dairy, and I literally went on a diet where I was only eating grapes for a period of time to like alkalize my body. And I did carnivore and I did keto and I did vegan and everything in between. And one, that's going to be a stressor on your body when you're doing like the crash course diets. But at best, if you are making these accommodations because you're like, these foods are going to give me GI upset, yada, 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 you're kind of training your body to be more sensitive over time. One, two, you're going to have a lot of anxiety around getting introduced to those foods. So, like, say, for example, if you're avoiding, I don't know, like a certain spice or tomatoes or whatever it is, and then you go out and you end up accidentally eating this food, and then you're like, oh my gosh, now I'm going to have all these symptoms. Look at all the anxiety that's creating. It limits you, right? You can't really function as normally. You probably can't even go out to eat very much or do anything like that. So, it's very limiting. It's the same concept as when you're avoiding driving or avoiding going to the store. Your body becomes more and more and more scared because you're telling it these things are a threat. So, what I would suggest is before you cut out foods, because there's nothing wrong with cutting out foods. Like, I'm actually in a season of life right now where I've got really bad migraines, and I am contemplating going on kind of like a elimination diet to figure out what's my triggers and what isn't. But if I had done that in the anxiety cycle, it would have been used as a tool to like fix the anxiety. There'd be a lot of fear and, control surrounding the whole diet thing. So I would say get yourself to a place where you can function like you could function before the cycle, not focused on your symptoms, right? Just getting you back to full functionality, full eating, full normalcy. And then when you're in that stage of recovery, then we can look and see, okay, how do I feel optimal? Not out of fear, not out of fixing, but just simply like maybe anti-inflammatory foods would be better for me, right? And it's more of a choice of optimal health and not like I've got to recover from all these symptoms. And as far as the weight loss goes, super normal, super common. Yes, very common. Let's see. Next question from Cindy. Improving and recovering and then getting symptoms again. How to deal with the bad days after having good days. So I'm going to make a video on this soon just regarding like setbacks and the ups and downs of recovery. What I would say is really expect bad days, okay? Like expect the worst. And be okay with that. And you just got to tell yourself it's like, hey, this is all part of the journey. This is 110% expected. Recovery is not linear. It is if you zoom out, but if you zoom into even a month of recovery, it's going to be so up and down. Like, I kid you not, I felt bipolar sometimes because I felt like especially kind of when I got to the middle point of recovery, when I was like, okay, I can do this. I'm getting better. And then a couple hours later, I would literally feel completely hopeless. Like I haven't made any progress. Like it was so up and down, even hour by hour, definitely day by day. So just remind yourself this is normal. This is expected. Approach the bad days as opportunities because ultimately, like the bad days are your friend. If you're responding well to good days, that's okay, but you're not really showing your body that you're safe. When you're responding well to extremely high symptoms, high panic, so forth, those are the days where you are like really making strides in your recovery. So approach the good days, um, and the bad days very similarly. I would definitely say like the scheduling is really important. Schedule your week out. I schedule my week out still just for like scheduling reasons now, but when I was in the anxiety cycle, it was because of my symptoms. So I would schedule every Sunday my week out on a calendar, and I would kind of, give myself an exposure life planning basically every single day of the week. And I would schedule it for a specific time. And what this does is say Monday, you're like, I'm going to go to the park with my kid for an hour. Tuesday, I'm going to go grocery shopping. Wednesday, I'm going to go out to dinner with my friends. Whatever that looks like. Thursday, I'm going to go drive. Okay, we've got it all scheduled out. We have it all timed out. And then what this helps keep us accountable for is the bad days. And so say Wednesday rolls around and you're like, I could absolutely not go out with my friend today. Now you have it scheduled and it kind of like forces you to keep going and then gives you again those opportunities to move forward. So I would say a lot of intentionality, scheduling, holding yourself accountable, understanding that the bad days are a good thing, kind of just reframing. And I would say too, for anybody that's kind of in that bad day, good day hamster wheel situation, definitely consider coaching, because that can help you just keep the correct mindset as you're going through recovery, know what to expect, all that jazz. Next question. Let's see. This is from Michael. How do you deal with severe anxiety when you lose your parents, and how do you deal with somatic symptoms of anxiety? For example, fainting, nausea, dizziness. I was fully recovered from anxiety and working, running marathons, caring for my parents. And after their deaths, worst 24/7 anxiety of my life, going on 20 months. Yeah, man. First off, so sorry about your parents. That's so hard. I literally can't imagine that one day. I know it's coming eventually, and it's like something that I just don't think about because it's so sad. So I'm really sorry. What I would say, looking back when you said, let's see, I was fully recovered from anxiety, working, running marathons, caring for your parents. I went through anxiety in 2019 postpartum, so before my anxiety cycle fiasco. And I would have said that I recovered too, but looking back, I did not recover. My symptoms went away. And having your symptoms go away and then actually recovering from anxiety is a completely different thing. Because when you recover, you develop a very strong mindset, a very strong sense of response. And so you would take that response, ideal in my guide, and you would apply that not just to symptoms until they go away, but to life. You'd be able to like really work through what's productive, what's unproductive, how to process things, how to deal with emotions, how to not ruminate, basically, um, and just kind of like how to handle your stress. So I would say, um, view the past as more of the symptoms went away and not fully recovering, because once you fully recover, you'll never fall into the anxiety cycle again. Not to say that stressors like the loss of a parent would not bring up symptoms, because they absolutely could. I mean, if something tragic happened to me right now, I could definitely get symptoms again, but I have the tools to not fall into the cycle. So it's a little bit nuanced. I hope you understand what I'm saying. I would say approach this season of anxiety a little bit differently. Go through my guide, reach out if you need additional help, but definitely start using response, because that really rewires your brain and it allows your body to calm down, and not kind of let that cup overflow. Because right now it just sounds like you've got compounding stressors that are causing symptoms. So we've got to get you out of the cycle, the tornado basically part of things right now. Amy. So I'm preparing to travel out of state this week for a family vacation, which I'm really looking forward to. However, travel or being in unfamiliar places can trigger me to dissociate or have existential thoughts that can ultimately make my anxiety rise. Do you have any tips on how to navigate all this when going far away from your local area and comforts? So, I mean, I sound like a broken record, but response, response, response is like your deep rooted answer. That is like the cure, quote unquote, for all of this. So definitely get through the guide, response, binge my videos before this trip. Like I said earlier too, like view this as a huge opportunity, because if you're not symptomatic, then it's actually not progressing you forward when it comes to response. So you need symptoms to respond to, make progress. I would also say really be okay with the discomfort, right? And like, so as you go through it, to give you an example of ideal. So I actually feel kind of the same way, like a little bit now when I travel. I felt it really bad even before the anxiety cycle. Like when we would go to like, say, Europe or something, I would just feel like very existentially kind of like, what's the point of all this? Um, it just felt weird. And then anxious and uneasy, a little bit dissociated, a little bit just kind of like sad or empty when we would go on vacation, at least for the first several days. And then I would usually like start to settle into things. But when you use ideal, it looks like this in this situation, identify. I'm feeling symptomatic, I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling uncomfortable. Okay. Designate. This is just anxiety because I'm out of my comfort zone. Okay. Embrace. This feeling can stay here. I don't have to chase a feeling. I don't have to fight a feeling. I just need to, go on with the motions and show my body that I'm safe. I really want to focus too, just like interjecting here on the chasing emotions thing. Even on this trip, view this similar to like physical therapy, right? Like you're going to do this because it's going to essentially make you better, right? Like with time, as you respond properly, don't view it as something where it's like, oh my gosh, like I'm never going to feel the same way. Why am I not experiencing joy? Why am I never going to enjoy a vacation again? Why am I like this? Don't approach it with those thoughts because that just adds so much unnecessary pressure. So instead, approach it with, okay, this is an opportunity. I don't have to even enjoy this. I'm just going to get through this and I'm going to respond properly. And if enjoyment comes, fantastic, right? But it's not expected when your body's in this state. So I would say approach it with ideal. One more thing too. I'm not sure if you're a Christian, like a believer or not, but I notice like whenever I'm doing anything, I just had this conversation with somebody else the other day, but whenever I'm doing anything that like feels just kind of like not good, not bad, it's not really like uh kingdom oriented. Like I'm not talking about Jesus, I'm not reading my Bible, I'm not at church, I'm not discipling people, like whatever. That would be more of the eternal value box. Um, when I'm like traveling, which I would say is like one of my favorite things of all time to do, right? And I'm not really in my Bible very much, and I'm just kind of like having fun and eating and doing all the things that I enjoy doing. I start to feel a little bit of existential like feelings because I kind of feel like, okay, like what's the point of life? Like, what the heck? And then I start to feel that little kind of like everyone feels a little bit fake, like robotic feeling. And I would say, like, now when I travel, I'm really intentional about being in my Bible, spending time every morning in my routine in the Word, just kind of like reminding myself why I'm here as a human being, what the point of life is. And that kind of helps quench some of those thoughts. So even while you're on your trip, have yourself a routine a little bit. Have yourself a morning routine. If you are a believer, get in your Bible app on your phone or something for at least a few minutes. Maybe listen to a worship song. Just kind of like reorient your body and ground your body in truth as you go about your day. But I hope you have a fun trip. Let's see. Next question. Does anyone ever feel like they're falling, quote unquote, too deep into DPDR? Like sometimes I get too distracted from the fact that I have DPDR, if that makes sense. Yes. So the way that you worded that, I mean, yes, 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 yes. Check out my DPDR playlist. I literally felt like I was like floating off into space. I was so deep in DPDR. But based on how you worded that, I would ask you, how much time are you spending, especially when you're in this DPDR zone, engaging with it, thinking about the Matrix or whatever, like on Reddit, on Facebook groups, Googling? How much time are you spending doing that? Because if you're doing that, you are just pouring fuel directly onto a fire. Instead, throw that all out the window. And when you use response, use ideal, it would look like identify, oh my God, I'm feeling so dissociated. I'm feeling like, existential, whatever, DPDR hardcore. Designate. This is adrenaline. This is anxiety. This is an overactive stress response. Okay, embrace. You know what? This feeling can stay here. I'm going to show my body that I'm safe. Eventually, my body's going to get out of this state and I will feel more normal. Move on back to whatever I was doing. And you might have to use that over and over and over and over again, but that's going to stop you from engaging with it, which is that fuel to the fire thing. Let's see. So, is it common for headaches to persist for a long time after you're mostly recovered? It can be triggering to feel head pressure. Yes, and that is my one lingering symptom that I have pretty much on a daily basis right now is headaches and head pressure. And it has waxed and waned more than it initially did. At first, it was like really bad to the point where I was separating it as a symptom and going to the emergency room because my headaches were so bad and my head pressure was so bad and it felt like my brain was like going to explode. Sorry, I've got a baby down here that I'm feeding at the same time. Um, but yeah, it was really, really, really bad at first. So just remind yourself like tension is going to cause that. Tension can kind of become its own cycle. I still have so many knots like in here, like in my traps and my scapula, like lots of tension. And so in this season, now that I'm finally not pregnant again, I plan on at this point in recovery, one, using response, right? Making sure that I'm not bringing more stress into my life, but exercising, walking, stretching, Pilates, all that kind of stuff. As much exercise as possible to kind of loosen up some of that tension is kind of where I'm at. Focusing on getting some better sleep when I can. I have a newborn, so that's tough. But focusing on things like that at this point in recovery. If it sounds like you're kind of further down the road like I am, so it's normal. Yeah, unfortunately. Um, I would say for you, if you're not already, try to walk every day. I walk like 2, 3 miles at least a day. And then I'm gonna be getting into the gym again soon. So just because I just had a baby, so I haven't been. Also, one more thing, check out the channel Pain Free You on YouTube by Dan. He's amazing and he has so much great content that's kind of very in line with anxiety recovery. Like I would say pretty much everything he says applies. And so it's very much that like mind body pain approach. So check out his channel, love his stuff. Like even if you're not experiencing pain, check out his channel for anybody else listening because he has so much good information. Next question. Let's see. What to do when somebody is stressing you out and the thought of this person stressing you out comes into your mind often. And you said you're going to make it. Oh yeah, make a video about it. So, oh my gosh, I could probably make this like my own video about it and I will at some point, but I guess I would call this like rumination, right? So I literally went through this hardcore leading up to the anxiety cycle. One of the triggers for me falling into the cycle, I'm not going to call it a cause because the cause is response, right? The cause is in our wheelhouse, it's in our control, thank God, because yeah, that way we're not ruled by these emotions. But I'm holding a passy, by the way, mom like. So I would say first, there was some things that I had to get to the bottom of, right? Like there were some things with my specific issue that my husband and I had to like lay out some boundaries with, boundaries to protect our hearts, our emotions, our peace, whatever. So there could be practical steps to take too. If there is boundary type stuff going on, whether it's just like this person maybe need to be around them less, truly, like there's some good books you can read. Boundaries by Henry Cloud is great. Good Boundaries and Goodbyes by Lisa Turkhurst, I believe, is a really, really good book too. Check out those books. Henry Cloud has some good like YouTube videos as well. I believe he's on YouTube. So that's one thing I want to say, practically speaking. Two, when you use ideal, right, it's going to look like this. Identify, this person's driving me crazy. Here's what they did, right? Designate, this is an anxious thought. It's warranted, just because you call something an anxious thought doesn't mean that it's not legit. So it may be warranted, but it's an anxious thought, it's stressing me out. Embrace, okay, is there anything that I can do about this or should do about this? Um, if you're ruminating, the answer is probably no, right? It's probably just like, I can't believe they did this. Can't believe they said this. Like, what do they mean exactly by this? Why do they keep doing this? Like, whatever, right? So the answer would be this is unproductive to think about. All that it's doing is it's like pouring a toxin into you. It's stressing you out. And thinking about it will not change the outcome. So ask yourself, will thinking about it change the outcome? Is there anything that I need to do or should do? And if the answer is no, then you've got to just tell yourself, hey, this is unproductive. This is bad for my body. This is bad for my nervous system. Move on, right? Literally tell yourself, move on, and then go back to whatever you were doing. And you might have to literally redirect that thought 100,000 million times. But that is what gets your brain off that sticky thought, hamster wheel situation, and will eventually rewire your brain and you won't have such a tie to rumination. And if someone bugs me still, I still have to like very consciously respond because I am the kind of person that will think about it, dream about it, wake up thinking about it forever if I don't stop myself. So that's what I would say. Response is key. And remember, response is not going to feel natural in the moment at all. It's something that works over time because it literally rewires your neural pathways. And there's a book called Winning the War in Your Mind. And the way that Craig Groeschel explains it is your brain has synapses or whatever, like neural pathways, like the more often that it thinks a thought or has like a habit, the easier and quicker it is for your brain to do that. And so your brain's going to go to whatever's easiest. So when you're rewiring your brain and you're changing your responses and your habits and all that kind of stuff, you're literally changing that, rut in your brain and rewiring it with something. And that's going to take time because at first your brain's like, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but like this is entrenched. This old way of thinking is much easier. I'm going to think that. So you have to think the other thought the other way around so many times before it, kind of takes over and swaps for the current rut that your mind's in, if that makes sense. Another really good book. But hang in there, man. People people stink sometimes, but ask yourself again, how much of this is productive? And also, if it's like, well, maybe it is productive. Maybe there's something that I do need to do. Well, think about it, make a list if you need to, and then take action and then move on, right? We don't need to think about it for months and months and months. Figure out what we're going to do, move forward, right? And then use ideal to redirect those thoughts, the rumination type stuff. Next question. What is your experience with physiotherapy about the dizziness? So what I would say is it's really tricky. So I was diagnosed with triple PD, like the just persistent dizziness that is technically not vertigo. I did have vertigo episode 2 different times though, which was not fun, but the triple PD was just that constant rocking imbalance sensation that made me feel like I was always kind of being pushed to the side or just like on the verge of having really bad dizziness, kind of faint, kind of lightheaded. And like there'd be times where I'd be sitting in the car and we'd be stopped, but I felt like we were like kind of moving still, like all that kind of stuff. And I did try PT, I did try physical therapy for that. I didn't have any massive results, but some people do. So I would say there's nothing wrong with trying it. Just don't put all your eggs in that basket. Understand that as your body desensitizes, as you respond properly, to these symptoms, they will eventually get better and better. I personally still have maybe 10% of that lingering. It's not fun, but it's not stopping me from living my life now. And it usually flares up more like when I'm under a lot of stress, like childbirth and things like that. So I would say try PT if you want to, nothing wrong with that. But what I would say has helped me the most, actually, I mean, obviously response, because with PT, they're basically putting you in these situations, like with all do like cards and stuff, and kind of just like distract your mind from panicking, having negative thoughts about the weird symptoms that are happening and just getting your body reoriented. And there's other mechanisms too, but that's one of them. And what's helped me the most practically is going on very long walks every day. Like I walk for, again, 2, 3 miles minimum a day. And I walk outside without sunglasses on, wearing my glasses. Because for a long time too, I took my glasses and put them up here. And it was the worst thing I could have done through my whole recovery, honestly, is that because I'm still getting back into like the groove of wearing them constantly and not functioning blind. So anyway, I would say go on walks every day, but while you're walking, use ideal because what you don't want to do is go on your walks and then spend the whole time focusing on how weird everything looks and how you feel like you're going to faint and oh my gosh, and don't do that, right? Because that's just, it's not, you're not helping yourself. You're actually like ingraining these thoughts and behaviors even deeper. So go on your walk, use ideal, remind yourself, hey, this is physical therapy for me. This is vestibular rehabilitation. I'm walking, I'm seeing all this visual stimulus, and I'm going to tell myself, remind myself that I'm safe, that it's just a feeling. It's uncomfortable as heck, but I'm safe. Move on. Move on, move on, move on. Listen to a podcast, listen to something not anxiety related that's just positive, right? And do that on a daily basis, regardless of how you feel, because that's going to give you the best results over time. Go into grocery stores, go into, anything that's like really visually triggering is where you want to be responding. Ultimately, that's going to be your quickest ticket out of here. So I think that was all. Let's see. That was all the questions on this thread. What I'm going to do is I'm going to immediately today go and record last week's thread as well. So I'm going to post both these videos back to back, one today, one tomorrow. And then starting next week, I'm going to post them probably every like Tuesday or Wednesday, sometime after that Monday question thread. So if you're new and you're not on the Facebook group, definitely join that. Ask your questions every week. I'm going to start making these videos and I hope they help. And subscribe to the channel. Yeah, and if you're interested in coaching, apply. I am opening up my group coaching. It says close in the application. Go ahead and apply. I've got a few spots that I'm letting people into on a case-by-case basis. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I hope this helps.